Hi, I'm Rev.Jessie Brandon. I'm a metaphysical minister and a Lifecycle celebrant, and you're watching Epiphanies. It's where I get to bring my loves together, people and books. Now today we're talking about The Complete Artist's Way, which is really terrific because it includes all three of her books: The Artist's Way, Walking in This World, and Finding Water. Now, she is an incredible artist, Julia Cameron, and she's written this book that is Creativity as a Spiritual Practice. With me today discussing this book is my guest, Linda Laforge. Welcome, Linda. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Linda is a portrait artist who was relentlessly encouraged by a friend to draw caricatures for her fundraiser in 2013. And her artistic influences are varied, including the likes of Norman Rockwell and contemporary Celtic artist Courtney Davis. She is predominantly self-taught, and her philosophy, I just love, her philosophy for her art is down to 5 words: have fun and bring happiness. As a portrait artist, Linda sees the details of each person's face and character and quickly brings them to life on paper or canvas. Again, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks.
And let me hand you your book, and please tell me, why did you choose this particular book?
The Artist's Way, it's kind of a spiritual guide for artists. Julia Cameron's actually a writer, a screenwriter.
Oh, yeah.
So it's for any kind of artist, any kind of creative person. And since I do visual art, I do portraits, I have a love for Celtic art because of spirituality in the designs. Mm-hmm. And I'm a writer. I'm always seeking a little help to be focused on my art because I'm always focusing on the work I need to do to pay the bills, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's been kind of a struggle. And this year I'm hoping to kind of move from, I do graphic design during the day, which is, I love it. It's creative work. But I really want to focus on developing myself as an artist. Mm-hmm. You'll hear people saying, well, I'm trying to find my voice.
Right. Okay.
A visual artist tries to do the same thing. I think because I've been so busy working on life, getting through life sometimes, getting the bills paid, mm-hmm. Food in your belly.
Yep.
That's been my struggle. It's been time. So I was hoping this would help me with that. Mm-hmm. And it mostly is. I'm fairly new at it. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying it. It asks you to delve a little deeper once in a while. It asks you to do these tasks every week mm-hmm. that make you look at your life, your choices, the people you're surrounding you with, your past. Mm-hmm. Who's supported you, who hasn't.
Really?
Yeah, it's teaching you about yourself.
Right.
It's making you look a little deeper, which is important.
Yeah, of course, because all of the questions would lead back to how you carried yourself through that process. Mm-hmm. Now, do you know Colette Mesdag?
I do.
Yeah, okay, so she was running group classes using this book.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, you should get in touch with her because I didn't take it, but she ran it twice, and it was very successful. So I wondered if having someone to bounce ideas off of as well to help dig a little deeper. I don't know. Yeah,
and there are groups. So I am talking online occasionally to, or weekly I should say, to another artist who's done The Artist's Way several times. Mm-hmm. There are certain things in the book that you're supposed to do. So there are these tasks that you have to do weekly that make you kind of search your soul, and your decisions, and question yourself a little more deep. You're supposed to do 3 pages a day.
Wow.
And it can be just sitting down, writing about the stuff you want to be working on, why you're not doing it. It could be complaining that you're not doing it. You could be start to write out your to-do lists in depth and how you think you're going to manage to get it done. Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to keep up with that 3 pages a day?
I haven't done it in the last week. And I told, and so this artist that I talked to, which so I think the idea of being in a group is great. So if I can get some more artists to do this with me now, that would be fantastic. So she's telling me I'm a bad girl because I'm not doing my 3 pages.
I would find that I would think that it would be very hard because you're trying to do the work that you want to do, and you've got to take time away from that to do this. However, this will blossom your work. Is that kind of what the goal is?
Yeah, and for me, it's just to get me to be doing my work.
Yeah.
And I always put so as a graphic designer, for instance, everything I do is deadline based. It's everyone
Right.
else's deadlines. So when I make my own deadlines, I rarely make them. So it's why am I doing that, and stop doing that, and make some goals of my own and move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a third element to it, which is artist dates, which I quite like.
Artist dates?
Artist date. So you make a date with yourself to do something that fulfills the artist in you. So go to a gallery,
Nice.
read some, or take some courses, or do something that enriches your artist, the artist in you.
Yeah.
Galleries are probably the best thing. Go to an artist talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the artist dates are good because you're supposed to give yourself 2 hours a week, one artist date a week.
Nice. And how successful have you been with that?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. It's good that locally we have a blossoming community. We've got lots going on at McLaren. We have Word Up once a month, so I kind of include that, which is a reading series. There's all kinds of things that you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
So, have you found that this book is opening you up? Have you found new things that you want to follow, either about yourself and how to crack open through this book?
I think the artist dates have been really important for me because it's, I don't know, it might be a writerly thing too. I'm a writer and a visual artist, right? But it's a thing that you do in a solitary way.
Yeah.
So I have to drag myself out of the house to go do stuff. So when I'm suddenly obligated, and I usually try and obligate myself by saying, okay, getting someone else to go with me, another artist to go with me and do these things.
Yeah, I understand that process.
And by being an organizer for Word Up, for instance, I am obligated to go there. I can't skip it.
Yeah. Oh,
and every time I go to any of these things, I'm quite happy I'm there. It's just getting out the door,
I always liken it to I'm like a cat in water. I suppose once I'm in the water, I enjoy it, but facing the water, I don't. So I'm that way with many things. I'd rather just stay home and read a book and the stack of 20 or 30 I have beside my bed. And
oh, I know.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it incredible? Like, there's just so many wonderful books out there. It's why I wanted to have this show, is because I wanted people to know that there was just so many wonderful things that could be teaching them about life and about themselves and just everything.
Yeah.
So why did you choose this particular book? Had you heard of her before, or
I've heard of the book before. I don't think I realized she was a screenwriter. I think I thought she was a painter. So that made it a little more interesting because it makes you realize there's so many ways to be creative. And one of the things I love about the creative community is there really are so many different creatives in the area. It's I don't know. It's kind of enriching, and like I said earlier, I really have been wanting to develop myself, kind of find my voice, and I'm thinking this is helping quite a bit.
Yeah. So do you know the direction you're heading at this point? Have you got an idea where you want to end up? I know nothing about artistry, so please tell me. You're a portrait artist. What is do you have an end goal?
See, this is my thing. I always thought, well, I'm never out of ideas. I always have so many ideas, I just don't get to them. I think my end goal in the next, recent years, is to be making a living just from the caricatures I do, caricatures and portraits commissions I do. So then that will free me up let go of the graphics, and then through the week, well, not like artists don't have free time, but
Yeah, yeah. No, I would imagine.
but I'm hoping it'll free me up to just take the time that I need to develop my voice in my writing. I'd like to publish some more books. I have lots of outlines started, but I haven't taken or put aside the time to focus on any big projects. I do want to try and get 3 short stories published this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the goal. And so I do more kind of sci-fi writing.
Oh, really?
That's where kind of my dark side seems to come out, and
Yeah.
my brighter side comes out in my visual art.
Oh, very
Which
cool.
has always been kind of interesting.
Now, I heard you talking about dragons or something. You've been doing work on dragons, have you not?
I have a dragon coloring book. You want
You
to see the book?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Sorry, I've got to do a reach. Stuff. So this, sorry about that, is my dragon coloring book.
Weeby dragons. Oh, that is so neat. That is really cool. I'll just show you. I don't know which camera is up, but okay. And
So I did that, and our dragons are such interesting creatures. They're powerful, and they're mystical, and they're magical.
well, I just opened it to dragons love flowers and are protectors of nature as well as mankind most of the time. And then this says, I believe in everything until it's disproved. So I believe in fairies, the myths, dragons. It all exists, even if it's in your mind. Who's to say that dreams and nightmares aren't as real as the here and now? And that's a quote by John Lennon. So that is really cool. I'm just going to show you that picture. This is wonderful. Now, where can people get copies of your book?
LindaLaforge.com.
Okay.
I've got a books page, and Amazon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you see me at any festivals this summer,
Yeah.
or events, yeah, I'll have a few with me for sure.
Yeah, so you're always out at Promenade Days.
Yeah.
And are you at Kempenfest?
No.
Yeah, that
No.
would be, it's a little bit tough to get into that one, isn't it? Like, is it juried or how do you?
I don't remember. I was in it years ago. I had a series of sort of fairy paintings, and my fairies were also protectors of nature.
Right.
Yeah, not so much mankind. They're mad at us, but
The fairies are mad
Yeah.
at us. Okay, and why are the fairies mad at us?
well, we're not very nice to Mother Nature most of the time.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
That is very
as
true.
a species, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the things I like about the artist's way is it basically speaks to our connection to the spirit. So whatever religion you are or spirituality you are, there is something that I believe connects us all, and that through that connection of creation, and through the process of creation, it's like a meditation. So it's something everyone should do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm always sad when they cut funding to music or to the arts in school, because
Yeah.
I think we're natural creatives as children. So yeah, anyone can do this. If this is something you've always wanted to do but don't, that desire, that's telling you something. That's your instinct telling you.
Well, I couldn't tell you how many projects I've started. I probably have about at least a half a dozen paintings that I've started and put aside because I just thought, no, apparently I can't do this. I never thought I was creative until I was telling someone about the log cabin that I designed and helped build and then decorated, and they said, and you think you're not creative? I had never seen that as creativity, because I always thought creativity was if you could sit down and paint a picture or, that kind of artistic way. So that's amazing to me that, you can take something like this and think you can't draw and go forward from there. Yeah, I'd kind of like to be Bobette Ross. I know he's the one everybody, kind of points to and makes fun of, but I mean.
I loved him as a kid.
Yeah, he's very talented and showed a lot of interesting ways to create, you know, the art.
It's pretty cool. There's a big resurgence of his popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's on Netflix or something right now, Bob Ross.
I think he must be, because
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of, I've been hearing his name pop up, and I even saw somebody's kid on Facebook had a Bob Ross t-shirt on that they'd actually made. So that was kind of cool too.
Yeah.
So, how do you live your artist's life?
That's a big question. How do I live my artist life? Well, I'm really fortunate that even the work I do that pays the bills is creative. And I've given it up.
What does your heart ask for? Are you living your heart's desire?
I'm mostly.
Yeah.
I actually am mostly.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I think one of the things I was worried about with the caricatures is a part of me felt it was trite, because it's just a silly, funny picture, and why do I want to do that?
Yeah.
You know, and I never thought I would do it, not in a million years. I mean, I drew funny pictures of my teachers.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about that.
And they didn't like it.
Really?
So, and that might have been my first experience with that. But I've always loved faces. So my experience has been, I think my first powerful experience doing caricatures. I got on the street performance program with the culture department of City of Barrie. And so you could kind of just go within a certain area, like down by the waterfront or downtown, and set up and put your little sign up and start drawing. So this kid came, he's probably mid-20s,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
almost 30. I know, you know you're
You
getting
reach an age where, that's a kid.
You know, you're getting old when. And he seemed he was pretty hammered. And I think he had a bunch of booze mixed in like a big bottle of pop. So he was drinking, and you know, but he really wanted his caricature done. And he told me this very tragic story, this very personal story. You know, and while I'm doing this, I'm still doing this funny picture. And it put a smile on his face. You know, there's a reason this guy was drinking, this kid, you know.
So the caricature put a smile on his face, or telling you the story?
Telling the story might have been cathartic, but when he got his picture and he could see himself with a smile on his face, I think, you know, and then watching him react to it.
Yeah, it would see
it changed
himself.
his disposition a little bit, and he saw himself a little differently, and then I realized that's why I'm supposed to do this.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
it's not trite at all.
Yeah.
You know, so many people are going through these traumatic experiences in life. And not everyone, you know.
No, but a good deal.
Yeah, you know, they can be experiencing loss, pain, who knows, you know, you name it.
Right.
PTSD, all kinds of stuff. So having a funny little picture of yourself smiling back at you,
Yeah.
it means a little more. You know, it's commemorative of events and stuff too, but it means more than you realize. It means more than I realized when I first started doing it.
Right, yeah. Now I notice you have your storyboard with you.
I do.
Are you working on something?
I could be.
Yeah?
Yeah, I certainly could
Okay.
be.
Now you said, let me see.
No, you
No,
don't
I
get to
can't see it.
That's
Oh,
part
all
of the
right.
experience.
Okay.
Now, normally I would have like a big easel, and you definitely can't see it. But
So can you talk to me while you're doing that?
I can.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me who Linda the artist is.
Linda the artist is always changing.
Yeah?
Yeah, always. I'm a seeker, I think. I love to learn. So I love to learn new techniques. I'm always seeking to be better at this. This was, I think you'll talk to a lot of artists, even portrait artists, and they'll say, "No, I could never do a caricature. It's too scary."
Really?
'Cause you're drawing in front of a crowd of people.
Okay.
I think that's probably the biggest scare, and you've got to do it quickly. You've got to be able to do a drawing in at least 10 minutes or less. I think that's the big demand, is to be able to do it in less than 10 minutes.
Really?
Which, you know, it's a struggle for me because I'm a detail person. I like to do a nice detailed drawing and get all your lovely little features in it and stuff.
So I shouldn't look at you cross-eyed right now.
No.
That would not be a good thing.
That's actually the worst when
So-
you get little kids doing that.
So you've only been doing this since 2013?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Caricatures, yeah.
Caricatures.
Yeah.
Okay, and before that you were a graphic artist, but how did you, how did the I'll say private, but the personal artist show up?
I would book myself into shows with other artists.
Mm-hmm.
I have always gotten commissions to do
Oh, yeah.
portraits, so I've always been creating.
And how long have you been doing that?
I don't know when I haven't. So, if I turned 50 this year, so I would say, how long does it take before you get a crayon in your hand?
Yeah, really.
49 years at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool. I really admire that kind of creativity because, much like my sister, I'm not a whole lot better at drawing. And I remember when you used to see on the back of comic books, you know, that you could send away for the kit to become an artist in like, you know, 3 easy lessons or something. And of course, I never sent for those because, as I said, I didn't think I had a creative bone in my body, so I didn't try it. It took a lot of years for me to develop what I would consider the artist in me, and my artistry kind of lends itself more to speaking and writing. But I don't
There's
write.
a creative aspect to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't write stories about people I don't know. I was talking to Joe Mercer about this, and he was telling me how he develops characters and so forth. And I don't do that. I write my wedding ceremonies from scratch, and I interview my bridal couple and get them to fill out a questionnaire. And then I just go away and I read it over a couple of times, and then I let it sit with the muse. And then I just begin to write about who I see through their words. And I have a lot of fun with it because, of course, I am a little bit of a comedian, so I always like to throw the odd story out there that makes everybody laugh and makes everyone feel included in the love story that's being presented to them in that moment. So.
Well, you know, that's a performance, right? That's performance art.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that's actually, that and comedy is probably the toughest art there is. And I am a huge admirer of comedians. I mean, yeah.
Me as well.
tough.
That's another thing on my bucket list is to do a 15-minute stand-up. And Andrea Murray is one of my favorites.
I love her.
Yeah, I've known her for years, and she's always been funny. So I love that she's turned it into, you know, a real gig for her. And but I don't know that I'm as quick off the top with words the way she is. And I see things that strike me funny, but putting it down in a description is often my failing of how to get that joke onto paper and then be able to relay it to somebody. I've been doing yoga recently, and of course I do calm yoga and restorative yoga, which is, let me just say, I spend a lot of time on the floor, sort of on the mat.
That's how that works, yeah.
Yeah. And I began to see myself taking that to the stage and showing young people how old people do yoga. Because I thought that would be pretty funny, particularly if they saw me. There's I think a performance artist who does all the glamorous model pictures. She does them according to what's going on, what she can create in her life, and it's absolutely hilarious. You know how they have them pose hanging on a chair and reaching out to something, and she'll do it. And she just looks, you know, so ridiculous.
That's funny. So is this, you're not teaching or you're taking classes?
I am teaching. I guess you'd call it teaching. I have a lot of things on the go, but this interview isn't supposed to be about me.
But that's how the experience goes. It's a perfect example. I get to know people.
Yeah.
While I'm doing the drawing, right?
Well,
yeah.
then just briefly, you know my story, I think a little bit, that I became a minister 5 years ago due to several losses in my family. It just made me realize that I wanted to talk about the the happy times and the grieving times in our lives. And so that's why I'm always conscious of saying I'm a life cycle celebrant, because I studied all of those things, the rituals and celebrations, and how to really do grief, you know, how to work it through. I do release ceremonies for people. I use the Labyrinth over in Sunnydale Park. And then I began to preach at the Rama United Church, but it's spiritual messages. I don't do religion from the Bible. I do it from the heart and from the divine. And that has led me into, we're starting satsang in Barrie, which is focused, dedicated meditation, and then imparting spiritual learnings. And the audience has very little opportunity to speak, because it's the art of listening and being contemplative about what you're hearing and how that relates to you. So, Linda, is there something in a synopsis that you want our viewers to know about you?
Well, I would like any writers to come out to Word Up.
Yes, I've been out to Word Up, but I admit that at that point when I came out, it took a lot of courage for me to come and read my stuff there.
And that's what Word Up is there for.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I felt very powerful standing behind that mic and being able to do that. So Word Up is when?
Second Thursday of every month except August. Take that month off. It's for writers of all genres. So whether you're a poet, doesn't matter what you write really, a musician, as long as it's kind of your own music, you can perform it. You can write, I mean, I read some of my sci-fi short stories.
Okay.
Whatever, come read your work. We have two featured authors, one or two featured authors who are published, who you can talk to about writing process with them and other writers.
Cool, that's so great.
It's at Unity Market. It's
on Toronto Street.
Yeah, funky, vibrant kind of experience. So.
Okay. Oh wow, look at me. That is so cool. Thank you so much. So there you have it, Linda Laforge, the artist, does caricatures, and you'll find her at Promenade Days for sure, and other festivals. Are you coming out to ZenFest?
I don't know about that one.
Oh my gosh, well, I'll tell you all about ZenFest, but it won't be on camera because I have to thank you now, my viewers, for dropping into Epiphanies and joining me here with Linda Laforge, the artist, and thank you so much for dropping by. We'll see you next week. This is me.